So, welcome to our Sunday Night Live show. As always, the first thing we want to know is where are you watching from? Cheryl and I are in our home office. So, we're playing with the lighting. It's a little better now, we think.
And in case you didn't know, he's Ken. I'm Cheryl.
Yeah, but we're not really sure about her. And so tonight we're going to talk about, well, first of all, so let us know where you're watching from. I saw a comment. Rhonda's with us from Lakeside, California.
Hi, Rhonda.
Nice to have you with us tonight.
And also put your questions and comments in the chat. We're always happy to look up answers or see what our viewers think about a certain aspect of traveling. We'd love to share your thoughts with others.
Yep, and we love to learn from you too. Yeah, because we're here to help you guys out. So,
here's Pam.
Hey, Pam. How are you today, Pam?
So this past week, we spent at CruiseWorld in Fort Lauderdale, meeting lots of cruise representatives, learning about the new ships coming out, what's on sale, what to watch for, what the trends are, and that's what we're going to be sharing tonight.
Yep, and it was a bit. We were there for 3 solid days, and we had a meeting with our host agency as well on one of the day before it started. But it was a busy show. We got a lot of training done. It's those things, they sound like they're fun, but they're also a lot of work as well.
And Ron is telling Pam hello.
But okay. So the new ship's coming. So we'll start with let's start with who's at the top. Sun Princess. Okay, and she's probably the earliest one that's coming. She'll be here in the mid-spring of. Well, she'll start sailing in the mid-spring of next year. She's going to She'll do a season in Europe. She's a completely different ship than any of the previous Princess ships that they've gone. They have some more amenities, kind of like some of the Carnival ships, as far as having a roller coaster and some slides, and maybe a little more for the kids. But they've done some really strange. I don't want to say strange. They've done some very different things with their entertainment. So they have an area where the pool is. It's pool in the sun in the daytime, but at night it turns into this really interesting entertainment venue. So it looks
not a pool venue. It's not like a water venue, but the dome. I think the floor will be covered. The pool will be covered with a floor, and they'll entertain you on that floor.
Yeah, and so that looks very different. They're also going to be doing some. They're going to have like 3 separate places that they do entertainment. Hi, Rhonda.
Hello, Rhonda. Yeah, and they're also going to have a thing called the Magic Castle, where they'll have a magic show. And as Princess, like most of the cruise lines, are trying to become less dependent on oil, more environmentally friendly, and that ship is going to have LNG along with some others we'll mention today.
Yeah, we're starting to see LNG become pretty popular across the board. And it was interesting when we talked, I think it was Royal Caribbean was talking about it, because they have the Utopia of the Sea is coming, and that's their next ship. She'll be here, I think, either in the fall of 24 or the spring of 25. Forgot to look and get the exact date. But it's a very different ship because it is a Symphony class, Oasis class ship. So it's big like the Symphony of the Seas is, and in fact, it's bigger than Symphony of the Seas. It will be the world's largest cruise ship when it comes out. But rather than putting it in longer-term sailings like they usually do, it's going to run out of Port Canaveral and run 3 and 4 days to Coco Cay and probably to the Bahamas.
This is going to be really exciting for people, they said, especially for new to cruise, not sure if they like a cruise ship or not. And usually they end up going on the older, not as interesting ships. And so this time they'll be able to see just how fantastic a cruise can be in 4 days. And hopefully they'll start booking 7 days. But also, if you just want a short vacation, it can be an absolutely phenomenal vacation. It will go to perfect day at Coco Cay. And so that'd be a really nice 4-day vacation for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of perfect day, they just are opening a brand new adults only beach section. I forget the name of it, but
Yes, I forgot to.
But
Yeah.
anyway, so they're continuing to add to their island. So that's going to be really interesting for us. Obviously, it's pretty close.
Oh, the other thing about it is it's going to have a 295-foot slide. It's going to have 8 neighborhoods, 40 dining venues, which kind of reminds me of Virgin Voyages, because they're going to have a food court instead of a buffet. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's instead of a buffet, but they're going to have I think it's a food court in addition to the buffet, because the food court I think is going to be down on the in Central Park area.
The other thing they have, which is absolutely amazing for those who can afford it, they have, I think it's a 2 or 3 story, 3-bedroom stateroom that sells for $85,000 a week. It's already sold out for the first year or two, so you'll have to book early if you want that one.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to me, that people can spend that kind of money, but I'm just a poor guy. What can I say? It was one of the interesting. That one of the things they were talking about in teaching travel agents is that you don't book clients based on your budget. You book clients based on their budget and what they want to spend. Because sometimes we tend to, try to save them money, and that may not be what they want to do. So,
yes.
So that was pretty interesting. Celebrity's got a new Edge class ship coming. The Ascent will be here in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we're going to be on that one.
We'll be on the Ascent in 3 weeks. It is an Edge class ship, and they've redone I just saw a thing on that they'd redone. Rhonda said she wanted to book that, but it was kind of interesting. They said that they've gone back to some of the old menus. They had tried to do some menu things and it didn't go over well. So they went back to having their regular things every day, every week, or I guess you could say they're the daily things. Like there's a steak and several things that are there pretty much every day.
But Celebrity's also coming out with another one soon after that, the Beyond. And the thing about Celebrity is next year it gets to start. I think it's next year, right? Not 2025. Yeah. It starts to go to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which will be really nice. And Perfect Day was built to hold a number of large ships, and they're adding more. I mean, there's still undeveloped areas on the island. They're gradually developing more. So hopefully they don't plan on it being crowded. It should still be comfortable even if they add more ships.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. We've never been on the any of the new, like the Edge class ships. So we only Celebrity ship we've been on Summit. We've been on her twice, and we really like the Summit. She's a nice ship. So we're looking forward to seeing the new, all the new stuff. They had a lot more specialty dining. We're not going to repeat anything we've done before because we're only on there for a little while, and it's like, okay, how many can we get done in that time?
And then we have MSC is coming out with the World America. They're also going to have a new pier in Miami.
Terminal.
A new terminal, and it will hold 3 of the super large ships. I believe they said it would be able to process 35,000 passengers a day from that new terminal. So I think they have big plans for the U.S. They do say they do have plans to spread out farther throughout the country. So those of you who aren't close by, you can look forward to trying that in the future.
Yeah, and just we'll touch on it since you mentioned it. Galveston's getting ready to really ramp up. MSC is coming to Galveston. Somebody else, I think it might have been Princess, was going to start sailing out of Galveston. So Galveston's going to start being a busy port. So for those of you that are close to Galveston, you'll have a good opportunity. MSC is talking about coming to the West Coast as well, but that'll probably be a couple of years out. And they also have a new product that's they don't call it they call it Explora Journeys, and it is kind of an upscale version. It's supposed to be maybe more Cunardish a little bit in that it's longer voyages. Some around the world type cruises, more those kinds of things. Yeah,
more luxury type cruise from MSC.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get a chance to look at that ship.
Carnival is also going to Galveston with their new celebration. That'll be, I think it might be this week. It's pretty soon, and yeah, so that'll be nice. And then also Carnival has a new private beach going to be opening up in the Grand Bahamas, and they said they may start going there even before it's completely finished. It will have two of the largest freshwater, or the two largest freshwater lagoons in the Bahamas. And so it's going to be huge. They showed pictures of it. It's got just so much stuff. So they may start visiting that even when it's not complete. So that'll be another great destination for families, especially.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is it'll be a dock, not you won't have to tender. Though of all the ones that tender to their private islands, Carnival does it best because you've got the roll-off shuttles and you can just roll right off and onto the tender, and then tender gets to the shore, you roll right off. So it works really well for accessibility. But I'm looking forward to this new one. It's going to be more developed, more shopping. They're doing what they can to kind of support Grand Bahamas. Grand Bahamas was just about wiped out a couple of years back in the hurricane. We were there like the year after. The devastation was just mind-boggling. So that should be nice. Hopefully there'll be a little more coral. You can go snorkeling around. That's the one thing that we don't see at Half Moon Cay. And seen other new ships. NCL's got a new ship coming. It is going to be the Norwegian Aqua. It is a Prima Plus class, so they've taken what they did with Prima and made it a little bigger and a little more, mostly a lot more deck space. And they tried to get the pools out where they're facing the water, and so that if you're sitting there by the pool and you're looking at the pool in the backdrop, they're kind of like infinity pools. So you look across the pool and you're looking at the ocean rather than having it all up in the middle. So that looks to be like a step up. They're going to add, I think they're changing their dining around a little bit on that as well. Oh, Royal Caribbean, by the way, has a 3-story dining room on the Utopia of the Seas. It looks huge, and they'll have all the staples, but some new ones. I'm hoping they put Giovanni's, was it?
I can't remember again. One of them.
Yeah, I hope it's not Jamie Oliver's on that ship. I like the other one much better. I mean, they're both good restaurants, but I think it's Giovanni's. It was. I mean, they tried to kill us with food.
You mean So Fantastic?
Yeah,
it's like too much.
Well, it was too much too, because we were on it right after they had come back, and they just kept bringing food and bringing food and bringing food.
Okay, so the big thing we took away from this show, though, is the fact that you need to start booking early. There's going to be fewer and fewer last-minute sales, and all the cruise lines seem to be saying that. But when we look out, they're opening up 2026 to book into, because on some ships, 2025 is already sold out for certain spaces or things that you want. And it's not just for the luxury rooms. Overall, Carnival's like, don't try to find anything within 4 or 5 months hardly, because it's not there. And so that may result in higher prices in the future. We're not sure, but they keep coming out with new ships, so that helps a little bit with that. But so now we need to plan for what you really want and book it when it comes out.
Yeah, I can't stress that enough, especially if you want an accessible room. I would encourage everybody to start thinking about what their 2026 plans might be, where you want to go, and start looking at what's out there, because everybody says that they're pretty well booked. I want to say Carnival said they were already like 65% or more booked for 2024, and they were starting to book some of the more popular itineraries, were starting to fill up in 2025. So there's just a lot of demand. Cruising's come back. Everybody's had record bookings, record booking days. It's just been a great situation for the cruise lines. And they said that what they're trying to do, is that they're trying to close the gap to a land-based vacation. And when you start looking at what some of these all-inclusives are charging, if you ever priced a Sandals, cruising's a huge value compared to that. Now, Sandals offer some things that, that's not typically included, but I'm just saying that there is a real value in cruising, and the cruise lines are trying to bring a little more parity to the market. They all took a beating for years. Now they got to try to make it up. But everybody, we listened to that panel discussion. panel discussions with the presidents of all the cruise lines. And it was interesting to hear what they had to say in their perspective. We talked to, we got to hear a lot of stuff.
And here's a question related to that. Do you recommend booking your next cruise while on your current cruise? I would say if you definitely want to cruise with the same cruise line. I mean, some people are very loyal to a particular cruise line and they get their loyalty points, they get their benefits, their amenities. They 99% sure that's what they're going to do next time. You don't necessarily always have to book the cruise, but you can get credit for putting down for a cruise without actually even choosing your next cruise. Now, if you want to choose your next cruise and you know exactly what you want, then that's probably go ahead and do it. And they will continue to give the sale to your current travel agent. So you're not going to be stabbing them in the back, so to speak. But the other option is to just put money down and you'll get some extras
like
usually.
Cruise Next. Yeah, there's
quite a few programs.
Yeah,
if you book when you're on the ship, you get some pluses for your next cruise. But sometimes you can just put the deposit down and say, I want a year to decide. And that can also be a good option for you. Unfortunately, we try to see so many different kinds of ships that we're not locking ourselves into anything usually when we're on the ship. So we lose that benefit again.
Yeah. But like I said, I would sure start looking out there and thinking about where you want to go. There are there's some amazing destinations. So I would think about that. One of the things that really stood out to me too, let's see, we talked about that. Okay.
There's one thing too that I thought of, and it's single rooms. It's NCL, I believe, said they added a lot of single rooms into their new ships, including balconies. This is really exciting for the industry, for those who are solo cruisers. And because if you get a solo room, then and it's not going to be an extra supplement. It's usually a smaller room. And so some of the other ships are hearing that. They're offering more and more like solo sailings where the whole ship is no markup or very little markup for solos, and they want to fill the ship with singles. So this is an interesting market coming up as more cruise lines get into that.
Yeah, and of course it's competitive pressure. What one line does, pretty much everybody has to. If they have any success with it, at least everybody else has to play the game as well. You do the same kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So here's another question: are they going to have accessible shore excursions? Well, Virgin Voyages, as when we interviewed someone from there recently, I think in the last 2 months, said that they are working very closely with accessible excursion companies who really know the area, who already do that, and they hope to have that at every one of their ports. That's their goal. And it's still having accessible shore excursions. That is the hardest thing about traveling, I think, is finding. A lot of it depends on the port. I mean, the cruise ships don't own the excursion companies. They don't live there. They, they're dependent on what the local economy does. And as long as we keep using those, when you go to a port, try to use the accessible companies. And the busier they are, then others will reach out and start to do that. But if there's not getting a lot of business, then it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, and I would say I have found a couple of new sources. So if you're going somewhere and you're having trouble finding an accessible shore excursion, just message me, and you can either message me, you can email me, you can put it in the discussion in the group, because we talked to some people that provide shore excursions that are separate from the cruise line, but they still have the same safety nets built in that they'll get you back on the ship. And I think what we're going to see about the NCL solos is there will be some accessible solos as well, and for Rhonda as well. That's what we're expecting to see.
Hopefully they won't. Hopefully they won't reconsider that. They really do want to reach out to the single market, and accessibles are part. Of course, there's always so few accessible rooms compared to normal rooms. So if you do find an accessible single room and that's what you want, then I would say book that.
Again, those will be the ones that go fastest, because even people that don't need them are going to try to get them just because they're going to be so much bigger. So, I want to talk about this, and this kind of touches on the accessible shore excursions and a lot of other things. This was the first trade show that we've been at ever where they had any information about disabled travel. And in this one, they did a panel discussion where they were giving them some mock some imaginary guests, and so they wanted to, a couple of executives from cruise lines were supposed to pitch them on what it was called Pitch Perfect, supposed to create a pitch based on what they knew about this family. So one of them had an autistic child that only ate white food. But there was also a lot of other different kinds of challenges that they brought up and threw at them. So that was in and of itself was a huge change. And then they also had a breakout room where Christy Durso, she's been on the show before and she'll be back in 2 weeks. She told some stories that I just want you guys to hear because she's a very good speaker and she had some very interesting things to say. But she talked to the travel agents, and she's actually working with an organization to put together some training for travel agents so that the average travel agent knows a little more than they do right now about disability. So many of them don't know anything. I get calls all the time.
And then also, before in the past, when we've been there, we've been able to ask the cruise lines directly. Like they have, a trade show. Besides the speakers, they also have a trade show where you can go around and visit with them. And then when they have a speaker, I would always raise my hand and say, "What are you doing for accessibility? Was that accessible?" And so they've been hearing it a lot, and I think that's helping a lot. The more they hear it, the more they're likely to do it. Christy is a little bit more aggressive in what she says about what they should offer as accessible. I'm like, I understand it takes time and money and we have to be influencing, but and also I'm not as disabled as others are, so I can tolerate what's out there right now. But I do think it's nice to see them, and I'm glad to see that they're more interested in helping us out.
Okay, so Marvin, yeah, it is really hard. And what I will say, Marvin, is because we have this group cruise, we just finished booking out, I think, for Alaska, because there's all that was left with some few guarantees, is put a deposit down. If you think you might want something, put a deposit down. Most of the time they're refundable until you get within 90 days, so you're not really at risk. And a lot of times you can find some fairly low deposits. I booked a cabin today for a couple. The deposit was $125 a piece.
Yeah.
You can't, that's not much to put down. And then you can kind of go ahead and hold that spot, and if you can't make it work, then you can move, but at least you might
not get the accessible space. That's what he's saying, that they need more accessible spaces available later on. That's true. It is. But but booking early as you can is true. And then also reach out to try different cruise lines. If you just can't find one on one ship, then sometimes that's what we do for people. They're like, I really want to go in 3 months, and we might have to, they might have to branch out of their favorite cruise line, but they might be able to find something on another one. And some of the rooms, like also booking, unfortunately, more expensive, larger rooms are a little bit more accessible, but the bathrooms may not be. But that's another thing we've done sometimes is book a bigger room if you have to.
Yeah, and Facebook user, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to correct one thing you said there. You said you're travel agent at Holland America. Holland America doesn't have travel agents. They have guys that their only job is to take orders, and so they don't know anything about anything other than how to put you in a cabin and how to make a booking. That is the advantage of using a travel agent. And that's
independent travel agent.
Yeah, because, in other words, when I work with customers, what we do is we try to find them exactly what they want. And I understand about accessibility and all the challenges that come up. The reason we started doing what we do now with the live show and the videos and all the things we do was because we couldn't find answers to questions we had. And I am like, and I'm pretty good at searching. Me and the internet go back a long, long ways. So it's one of those things that I am very passionate about, and we work really hard. We've had some customers that have traveled and have had things go south, and we were able to get them fixed for them. And they called, it was really funny because they called the cruise line, they couldn't get anything done. In fact, somebody that never even cruised with me in one of the Virgin Voyages groups we have, they couldn't get, they got rebooked for some reason, and they couldn't get the stuff they had originally, and they were having real problems. I called my rep, and he called the office, and they got exactly what they'd had before. And that person said, from now on, I'm working with a travel agent. But that's why we're here. And I mean, yeah, thanks, Pam. And again, like I said, it doesn't cost you a dime more. It was really funny. They kept telling us we should start charging for our services, both at the trade show and at our conference. Right now, Cheryl and I aren't going to do that. We're still going to operate the way we operate and provide good service and not charge extra. It may be that there'll be a time comes when we have to, because what we do is not cheap.
Depends how many times you rebook. When we used to do airline tickets at the airlines years ago, we were travel agents. The airlines, you could rebook sometimes 10, 15 times for one flight, and you only got that first commission. So, but now, because usually with cruises, people don't change that often, so we get our commission, and if you pick the right one, and if we find out enough information and get you on the right cruise, then it's easy, and we're not redoing our work over and over again. Yeah. But if we had to, then we would start to have to probably charge fees.
Yeah. But again, actually,
let's see. Oh, here's an idea from Marvin. She says, check with whichever sailing you want closer to the 90-day final payment due date for cancellations. So she says she just canceled a cabin for Hawaii leaving in January. So
you're not going to go with us. You heard we were on the ship, and you said, no, I'm not getting on that ship.
Oh, she had originally deposited 2 accessible cabins. Oh wow. Well, then, so there's an accessible cabin going to Hawaii in January if anybody wants to join us, perhaps. Okay. Yeah. Always, it's always a good idea to call or have your travel agent call and say, hey, what's available today? Take a quick look. Yep. Yeah, because sometimes
though usually the accessible cabins, I know Cheryl and I typically have either ourselves or somebody on a wait list for an accessible in case that happens.
Yeah, but a lot of times the cruise lines may already have a wait list. They may have people who booked a regular cabin and said, please, move me if you can. So it is hard. It is hard if you don't know way ahead of time.
Okay, so one of the reasons we go to trade shows is Cheryl gets to win stuff.
Oh. Funny. Anyway, I happened to go. They had many seminars going on at the same time, and you had to pick which one you wanted. There's only 2 of us. I went to the Windstar seminar, and it turns out they had the Windstar Legend, which is not a sailing ship. Windstar hosts sailing ships and very small cruise ships. And their one of their small cruise ships was booked for Israel for the winter. Well, obviously that's not going to happen. So they had to move it, and they decided to make this wonderful new cruise. It's going to be the Mediterranean in the winter. And you might think that's not when everybody always wants to go to the Mediterranean, but they're like, well, for those who celebrate it, you could go to be near the Vatican Christmas week. I mean, there's a lot of pluses to this. And anyways, so and then the other great thing they're doing is staying 2 days in 3 ports on their cruise, so that you really have an opportunity. You don't have to rush back to the ship if you've never been to Europe. There's your first time, or if there's a port, they're doing this at 3 ports. If that's one of your favorite ports, I think you can stay as late as you want at night, get up early and go back out again. And so they're also making a great price on these ships. It's just for the winter. It's December through March. And so anyway, at the end of the seminar where they were explaining a lot about their ships and the benefits, one of the new thing about their ship, vegans are going to love their ship. They have 10 items every day on their menu. It's not a separate vegan menu. You don't have to, like, everybody doesn't have to know you're asking for vegan. It's right on the menu, 10 items for vegans plus their salad bar. So anyway, this is what I've learned about Windstar. It's luxury. It's a small ship, about 300 people, and it's going to be in Europe in the winter. And right now it's a very good price.
Yeah, they start at like $13.99 per person, and it's 7-day cruise. And actually, it's almost more like a big yacht than it is a cruise ship. I mean, you still have some of the cruise ship amenities, but you don't have. They have a little buffet, but it's also serves as their steakhouse at night. But the cruise either starts in Rome or it starts in Barcelona. And so if you board the ship in Rome, for example, what will happen is you'll spend that night you'll do an overnight and sail the next evening out of Rome. So you'll have basically almost 2 full days on the ship that you can go and see in Rome, and then it goes to Florence and Pisa. And so it's a fairly long day there. Then it's going to go to Nice, and in Nice you have an overnight. So you'll have 2 full days in Nice, which is close to Monaco, and there's quite a few other things that's right there next to Nice. It's in France, but the Principality of Monaco is like just a few miles away. And then from there, so you have 2 nights there. Then you go to Rome. To Barcelona, and you'll have 2 nights in Barcelona where you stay on the ship. So,
and what they said about that, having the beginning in any ports 2 nights, is what if the airfare is $400 cheaper the next day? You can get on the next day. You can book it for the whole time, but they'll still be there and they'll let you on. So that's really flexible. Or if you needed to leave a day early, you can do that. So they're really trying to fill these ships up for the winter. I don't think they're going to have any troubles. And it's a beautiful luxury ship. At the end of the seminar, he said everyone who went to the seminar, I think there was maybe 40 of us in the room, got a free week. So we're planning on going December 31st, unless they say, that week doesn't work for them. But so if anybody wants to join us, that's our plan.
Actually, Rhonda, on those ships, they have 4 accessible cabins on each of them. On each sailing, they'll have 4 accessible cabins. I looked at the deck plan,
and they just released this on Thursday, I think it was. So it's if you want to book this winter, I'd do it right away. Yeah. And this one, Pam says, I think the smaller ships would be risking seasickness. But remember, you got 3 nights. You're going to just stay right in the port and just sit there. So you're not out in open water.
Yeah, and it's not a small ship, but like I said, 300 passengers and crew.
And luxury has more space per person and usually larger cabins. So it's not like 300.
Yeah, they're all suites.
They're not. These are not 300 interior cabins. So it's a good sized ship. And there's multiple dining rooms.
Yeah, the small cabins are 277 square feet, which is like what you get in an accessible cabin on most ships. And the dining looked amazing. You can do some really cool things with it too, because you can go into town with the chef when he goes to the market to buy stuff, and he'll take you and show you what he's buying. And they pretty much try to get things fresh every day from the local market and bring it back on the ship to eat.
And then you can help him cook.
Yeah.
They even have cooking classes on the ship. If there's something you really want him to cook, you'll buy it while he's there in the market. So it's going to be a really, really nice personalized experience.
Yeah. And their chefs are from the James Beard Foundation. The one main chef is like a 15 times Michelin starred cook. So he's had a lot of restaurants that have earned a Michelin star. I've never eaten in one that has, but evidently they have to be pretty good.
Well, I suppose you know what to do when you're on a ship then, because you cruise all the time.
Pass behind each year. But so anyway, we'll have a report on that. We're looking forward to being able to go and see and do this. It's not something I'd have thought we would have had the opportunity. And they have 3 of these motor ships that, again, they're all like 312, 314 passengers. They all have multiple accessible rooms on board. Their sailing ships, however, do not. They have elevators, everything you need to be accessible. I talked to them in the port. They they dock and they have ramps up and down. So I think we're not worried about having any challenges with it. They say that once you go with them, you probably won't sail with anybody else. I'm hoping not, because some of those sailings are pretty pricey, but they sail in some amazing places. They're the ones that do a really big job of sailing in French Polynesia.
Tahiti.
Yes,
and
Bora Bora.
And the president was there. He actually is the one who said that we could have our free cruise. And the president of Windstar Cruises, and he said that he has to go to Tahiti twice a year because it's paradise. And he said, if you ever think of paradise in your mind, that's Tahiti. So that now I wish I had really had booked the Holland America all the way to Tahiti instead of just to Hawaii. But anyway,
yeah,
next time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in 2025. And it depends. The problem is the flight out there it is a long way to Tahiti.
And I'd probably have to stop a couple places on the way back.
Yeah. Well, in fact, that's our challenge right now. Is I think we're going to wind up flying because 4 or 5 hours is all Cheryl can do. So I think we're going to go to and you can put this in perspective. I think we're going to go to Reykjavik in Iceland in December.
To fly
Just
there.
saying, might not be the best place to be in December. And I'm not taking a lot of winter clothes because when we get on the ship, we're not going to need winter clothes. But the one thing about it is it'll be in the Med. The Med hopefully will not be as bad as like the Atlantic or the Pacific. I mean, the Med can have storms that pop up, but if it's a smaller body of water, so it's less likely to have issues.
And also the other thing we're going to do with the airfare is we're going to look into, there's some consolidators, sometimes get better prices like on business class and whatnot. And we're going to look into that and see if there's another way I can get over there quicker. But I think we're really going to love the cruise too, right, Pam? We can't wait to no, Lombard Street. I love Lombard Street in San Francisco, even though I don't like heights. I do love Lombard. It's just so beautiful to get a picture of all the flowers on it. I just love it.
Hey, Rhonda, we should take Pam up to the top and then put her scooter in neutral and make sure the brakes don't work and let her go down and see how well she does.
Anyway. Okay. So anything else? I can't think of anything
Yeah,
else.
but like I said, in 2 weeks, it'll be Chrissy Durso. I have a couple of other people I'm going to work on guests. We're going to have guests pretty frequently for a while because it makes it easier on us. I don't have to try to talk so long. But not that me talking long is hard. For those that know me, I'm good at it. We do have, like I said, we have the Celebrity Ascent coming up at the end of the month. First week in December, we're on the Prima. Then we come back off the Prima. We're going to Cabo San Lucas for about a week. We come back from Cabo. We'll be back maybe a week. And then we'll be headed toward Europe. We get back from Europe. And then we'll be on the Icon of the Seas at the kind of the last part of January before we get on we're like the 24th. And then on the 30th, we get on Holland America. I forget which ship it was. I think it's a Volendam.
Fortunately, scooters have anti-tip wheels.
But so between now and the middle of February, we're going to be gone a lot. But we're looking forward to getting to see some of these things. We're going to take a portable wheelchair to Hawaii, just so a scooter that folds up, so that we'll have the ability to. If we do have tender ports, we'll have ability to get off. And that's one of the things for those of you that have fixed mobility scooters and don't have something that folds. If you're going to go somewhere where you have to tender, you can. Oh, Conningsdam. Thank you,
yes.
Rhonda. She was supposed to be on there. Oh, she is going to be on there, but she had 2 rooms. But to think about taking and renting a portable scooter rather than having to take your fixed wheel scooter. There's several companies that have them, that rent them. I'm a huge scooter around fan. And it's not just because we're ambassadors and they provide the scooter we take. But I love my wheel. Or Cheryl's wheel, I should say. But I mean, it just works so well for us. We just never had a problem with it. When we went to Alaska, we rented one that had a much lower ground clearance, and we were high centering all the time. This thing will go right over a speed bump and doesn't even notice them. So, but we'll take one of their portable scooters so that we can fold it up and put it on the tender, because those only weigh like 58 pounds instead of 100 pounds. And 50 to 60 pounds is about what they'll let you take. But I think that's all we know. Like I said, it's going to be busy for the next while. Like I said, till in March.
If you have any questions about any of those ships, let us know. Hopefully we can get on a cabin crawl on the new ships with some other agents, where we each person opens up the room so everybody can see what they look like and take a peek at some of the other rooms. But we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm trying to actually get us room tours where they let us on before they board the ship, because that way we don't have 900 people. We did ship inspections and Cruise 360 in the spring, and all we had was people in our way. I couldn't get any good video. So if we can do it where it's a private type of tour, that'll make it a lot better. We'll take one more comment, and then we're going to say goodnight to everybody.
Oh, there's 3 comments here. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so Pam says, I've been able to go on some tenders with my hold-up excursion that we put the scooter in front of the door.
Okay.
Oh, squeeze it. Yeah. Yeah.
Your hold up. Sorry, were you talking to Jen?
Fold up. Okay. Yeah, fold-ups are a lot better, yes, for tenders, for sure.
So a Facebook user says we like the Cunnings Dam. We've liked Holland America.
Yep. A room crawl would be great. Yeah, it'd be nice to see. I just love the room crawls. We usually end up with some of the suites, and I just, love drooling over those. Scoot around is a lot. It's nice to be able to get it right at the ship too, if you can.
Yeah, and we love it because it makes it easy to fly, and I'm sure that's probably what we'll take to Europe as well. Again, just because we'll be in a smaller, the room may not be, well, it should be fine room wise. We might take the C2.
I don't know about tenders.
They won't have any tenders on our trip, so
okay.
probably just take the C2. But anyway, yep. I will let everybody go. You guys are such a great audience. We love it when you join us. Do me a favor. If you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I always appreciate it. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, it helps us get companies to want to work with us. We're trying to do some more. It looks like we're going to go see another majestic property coming up. The travel buggy looked really good. The ones we saw, like I said, the ones we saw at the Mobility Expo they were really cool.
Yep. And then hopefully maybe we might be able to do an all-inclusive when we go to Mexico here.
Oh, Cabo, yeah. We'll be staying in an all-inclusive, and I've gotten approval from 2 others to come do a tour. So we're going to try to get as much as we can of that. One of the things I'll do coming up pretty quick is I'm going to do a comparison between all-inclusives and something similar on a on a cruise ship, just to look at the price difference and see where the what it's like. I know some are just very inexpensive. Sandals is a very expensive property, but they look like they're amazing. We're going to try to get over to one of the Sandals properties and do some video there as well. But
and then the fold ups, the Majestic's pretty neat. You just push a button and it folds up if you're by
folds
yourself.
Folds itself up.
Yeah, it folds itself up and opens itself up, and it has a little soft-sided case for travel, which is pretty nice. So.
Yeah, and then that other one came apart. I forget which one that was.
Yeah, some of them.
So you can split them in half. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. Bye. We'll see everybody next Sunday.
Bye.
Same bat time, same bat channel.